Welcome! Today we're going to make a little egg cat toy for our kitty cats. These are the things you'll need: a crochet hook, a size G, a tapestry needle, some scissors, some worsted weight yarn, some stuffing, maybe some catnip or valerian root if your cats like those things. And if you'd like to follow along, I have a crochet cat toy pattern collection available on Amazon, which I'll link below. We're going to take our yarn, make a little loop as if we're about to make a slip stitch, but instead we're going to use it to make a magic circle by pulling 2 chains up with our hook through the front of the loop and then pulling the chains up through the back. And that's going to give us that magic circle. And we're going to make 6 single crochets into our circle. We're just getting right in there. This is going to be the foundation here, the little beginning of our egg. So to make our single crochet, we're just going into that circle. We're going to wrap the yarn around, pull it up, wrap the yarn, pull through the 2 loops remaining on there. And we just keep doing it just like that. Hook through, wrap, pull through both loops. That gives us another single crochet. We're almost at the beginning here, or at the end, depending on how you like to look at it. It's a circle, so either way. We're going to take that tail, we're going to pull it to close that circle. So now we've got a nice, clean little 6 crocheted circle there. We're going to go into that first stitch, making sure that we get both loops on there. Wrap that yarn, we're going to pull it through to slip stitch it. So we're going right through that last stitch and then right through that, or rather the first stitch and then right through that last stitch. We're going to chain 1. We're going to increase a little bit here to make that rounded bottom. We're going into that first stitch. We're going to single crochet. And then to increase, we're going to single crochet again in that same space. So we're just going right back into that first stitch. And now we have 2 there. We're going to keep going, same idea, 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So we're going to go from having 6 stitches in our round to having 12 by the end there. It's just the same idea, going in there, wrapping the yarn, pull it through, we wrap, and then we pull through those last 2, and then you're just going right back into that same stitch again to increase. So when you look at it, each stitch there should now have 2 stitches coming out of it, so it should look like a little W instead of just a little almost V stitch there coming up. We keep going all the way until we're back at the beginning. Nothing special here, just increasing all the way around. Once you're back at that very first stitch, making sure you got 12, we'll slip stitch, making sure you get the 2 loops on the top there. And we'll wrap to slip stitch, so going through and through, pulling that all the way up. We'll chain 1. Before we do that, we'll pull that little magic circle loop extra tight. I like to just knot it off here, so I'm just going to take my tapestry needle, thread that yarn through there, and then I take that needle and find just any leg of that first row there, any stitch in that first row, little leg. Just pull it through, and I'm going to knot it off. That just helps in case the kitty cats manage to get that little tail out of the toy. They generally won't, but if they do, it'll still be knotted in, so they won't be able to pull the toy apart. And keeping our stitches nice and tight as we go through also, just to make sure that the kitties don't tear it apart. So we chain 1 to start that next round. We're going to go 1 single crochet, and then in that next stitch we'll be increasing, so we'll do 2 single crochets in that next stitch. We're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. We're going to go 1 single crochet in that third stitch, and then in that fourth we'll increase again, doing 2 single crochet into that stitch. When we get to the end of this round, we're going to have 18 stitches now. After this round, things start to get numbered a little bit differently than you might expect, because we're making an egg instead of a perfect circle. So keep going. Once you get to the end of that 1 single crochet increase row, we're going to slip stitch, and we chain 1 after that slip stitch, And we are going to single crochet into the first 3 stitches. So our pattern gets a little different here. 1, 2, 1 single crochet in that third, and we're going to come back around for an increase. So now we're doing 2 single crochet here, going back into that same space, and we'll repeat that pattern, 3 single crochets, 1 single crochet increase, until we have only 2 stitches remaining on our round. And then when we have those last 2 stitches available, we're just going to single crochet those last 2. So when we get to the end of this round, we're going to have 22 stitches. So we'll slip stitch once we get there. Very close. And you can see those little increases there. And we'll work those last 2 here. And once we finish these last 2, finally at the end of that 4th round, we've got 22 stitches. We're going to slip stitch into that first stitch of the round. Make sure we get both of those little top legs. Pulling that through, we'll chain 1. And then we've got for round 5, just a regular single crochet in each stitch around. So no increases, no decreases, just a straight round here, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Once we get to the end of that, we'll still have 22 stitches. So you're going to keep working until you get to the end of that row. We'll work in those single crochets, nothing fancy, nice and easy here. And from here, when we get to the end, we're going to slip stitch. And when we finish that slip stitch, we'll chain 1. Now we're going to make it a little bit different. We're going to single crochet the first 2. And now we've got a decrease. We're going to single crochet 2 together. So I like to go through the first loop of the next 2 stitches. So they're on that hook together. It can be a little tricky the first time around. Wrap the yarn. You can see it's just those front 2. We'll wrap that yarn and we're going to pull it through those first 2. So now we have 2 loops on our hook, just like a regular single crochet. Wrap and pull through those 2. Again, we'll do 2 regular single crochets. And then we'll do that decrease. If you like to do your decrease another way, that's absolutely fine by me. You'll still end up with the same number of stitches at the end. And when we're going to repeat this pattern until we only have 2 single crochets left on our round. When we get there, we're just going to work those last 2 stitches as plain old single crochets. Going in, wrap, pull it up, wrap, pull through 2. 1 more time. And when we get to the end of this round here, we're going to have an odd number. We'll have 17 stitches in our round. So we're going to slip stitch, making sure that stays nice and tight. We're going to chain 1. And now rounds 7 through 8, we're going to work just straight rows or rounds, however you like to think of it. Just a single crochet in each stitch. So at the end of round 7 and 8, you'll still just have 17 stitches. Making sure, if you'd like, you can tuck that tail on the inside, that bottom tail, just to keep it out of your way. And when we get to the end, you can see it's starting to look a little bit egg-shaped here. So now for row 9, we're going to do another decrease row. We'll chain 1 here. We're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Excuse me. Working 1, 2, and 1 more. And then we're going to decrease, getting those 2 front loops. You got it. Wrap, pull through both of those, wrap, pull through again. I'm going to do that again. 3 single crochets. Working 2, 3, and then we'll decrease. Those next 2 stitches work together. And we'll keep going until you only have 2 stitches left on your hook, or on your round, sorry. And then for those last two, just like before, we'll just work those as regular single crochets. At the end of this round, we'll end up with 14 stitches on our round. Yep, there's those last two regular single crochets. And we'll slip stitch there, back into the beginning of the round. Chain one, making sure we're keeping it nice and tight. That's going to make our little slip stitch row there. You can kind of see it a little less visible, a little less easy to tear apart if you're a kitty cat. Okay, so for round 10, we're just single crocheting one in each stitch all the way around. So at the end, you still have 14 stitches in the round. This is also a good place when we get to the end here. We're going to add whatever catnip or valerian root you might want, and then the stuffing. That's going to keep, especially the dried catnip gets very messy. It's going to keep it all from falling out. And if you are working with valerian root, you already know it smells a lot. I won't tell you what it smells like. I'll let you decide, but it definitely has a smell, so you don't want it falling all over your house there. We're getting that stuffing in there, and it's up to you how much stuffing you want to put in. If your kitty cat's like a softer thing to hold on to, maybe a little less stuffing. If your kitty's like something really stiff that they can like roll around pretty good, then maybe you will add a little bit more stuffing. Oh no, here come the dogs. Hi guys. You can hear their little jingly bells. They just want to cuddle. That's okay. They're jealous because the cats get all the toys, but they would swallow these whole if I let them have them. Okay, so we've added our stuffing, making sure we just kind of top it off. We want to make sure that we're pushing it in below the stitches we'll be working so we don't get polyfill stuck all in the stitches as we're working, kind of rounding that out. Okay, we are up to row 11. We're almost there. We're going to chain one after we slip stitch and then single crochet the first stitch and then decrease. And we're going to repeat that pattern. We're working one single crochet and one decrease. When we get to the last two stitches, we'll just single crochet there. At the end there, we're going to end up with 10 stitches around the top. If you want to, you could add a little bit more stuffing at the very tippity top there, but you probably won't need to. We're doing that decrease, just repeating that pattern all the way around. One single crochet and one decrease. And once we get all the way back at the beginning, it's going to be pretty tight already, but we are going to do one more decrease around just to make the top extra, egg-shaped, extra domey, and extra nice and tight so the kitties can't get in there. Once we get there, those last two are just regular single crochets. We slip stitch, and we're going to chain one. This is our last row. We're going to be doing decreases. I find sometimes getting into those very first two can be tough, so sometimes I will do a different sort of decrease here. I will go through a stitch, wrap, pull it up, go through the next stitch, wrap, pull it up, and then wrap and pull through all three there. So now I've worked two single crochets together a little differently. And then for the rest of them, I'll do that more, I don't want to call it invisible, but less visible decrease with those first two loops of those next two stitches. Can be tough to catch them, so you could do that other method if you also have a hard time catching those first two loops, especially where we get a little bit tighter here in this last round. Totally up to you guys. Whatever works better for you is fine. No one's gonna come and inspect your work. Your cats aren't gonna judge you, or they might, but not for this. Not for this. They won't care. And once you get all the way back around, you'll end up having just 5 stitches on there, just 5 stitches all the way around once you get to the end. And you can always give it a little count if you're not sure as you're going. And once you finish that last one, we'll slip stitch into those first two, or into the first stitch, getting those first two little legs there. Wrap it. We're gonna slip stitch as our last slip stitch. Make sure you're not catching anything you don't want to. We'll leave a nice long tail. Just kind of snipping it up using your scissors there. And we'll knot that here. Just wrap that yarn around the hook one more time and pull it through that last stitch there to create a little tie off. I'm going to pull it as tight as we can so it's less visible. I'm going to use that long tail and just find our tapestry needle when you're ready. So you can shape that egg a little bit if you want to. Smoosh that stuffing around. So we're just threading our needles here with that long tail. And we're going to use this to close off the very top of our toy here. So we're going in the first stitch with our needle and out stitch number 2 there. I'm going to keep going in stitch number 3, out stitch number 4. And because we have an odd number here, we're going to end up going into that 5th stitch. We're going to pull that tight, closing off that little hole at the top. And then I like to just kind of angle that around and see where it lays flattest. And once I found that point, I will pick up a leg of any stitch that keeps that knot sort of flat to the top and pull the needle through to tie off one more time. Make a little knot. Make that as tight as you can. And then checking to see where it lays flattest. Again, we'll stick that needle through the toy. That's going to put our tail on the inside. So you're going to get it as low as you can, reasonably. And pull it through. We'll leave the tail on the inside. Pull that a little bit tight so the tail doesn't stick out after you snip it. Snip as close as you can without cutting any of your stitches. And then you can just give it a little fluff. Shaping it out there. And you got a little egg for your kitty cat, and you can do wild colors if you want them to be Easter eggs, or if you got chickens, you can make them match your chicken eggs. That's fun too. This is just a little blue one. Now I'm going to give it to my kitty cat friend. She's not that impressed. She gets plenty of toys. Thanks for watching. Bye.